We are live, I believe, on Rumble with Propaganda Report and on Rockfin and on YouTube and on Twitter as well. I'm going to wait for that little red button on Rockfin like I always do before we officially dive in. Even though I know how it works, I just want to make sure we get the full experience on each platform. It should be popping up here shortly, soon. There we are. And we are officially live across platforms. I am Brad Binkley. For the first time in 63 years, both the union actors and writers have gone on strike, bringing Hollywood to its knees, they tell us, which is the first major event that has been impacted by this strike, apparently, is the premiere of the Disney movie, The Haunted Mansion, where the stars of the film did not take part in that premiere. And instead of them walking the red carpet, Disney had theme park actors dressed as Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Evil Queen, Snow White, Cruella de Vil. All of those characters from Disney parks were taking pictures with fans on the red carpet. And in the DMBXR, we're actually going to be talking to a real actor from that film about how he is impacted and what he thinks about is going on with the whole situation. But before we get to that, we're going to be joined again by woke actor Reginald Vandermeer, who was with us before the strike, and now that the actors have officially gone on strike, he's going to be updating us to what happened, maybe why the deal went through, how he's feeling, what he's going to do next, and what we should expect in the future for Hollywood now. Is there going to be a movie desert? How is it going to affect the economy? Reginald, thanks for being on the show. I don't even know where to start. You're the ones out there in the front line. What's going on, man?
Oh, I am exhausted, Bradley. First of all, thank you for having me back on. I do appreciate you having me back on. Thank you so much. I enjoyed my time with you so much last time. So yes, I am hot. I am tired. I have been fighting on the front lines with my brothers and sisters and my non-binary compatriots, arm in arm, lockstep in union, fighting for what is right against the rich, cigar-chomping fat cats of Hollywood that want to replace us with not real intelligence, artificial intelligence. It's not even real. It's not even real. It's like an artificial sweetener.
Right. And you would have to be one of the actors that are working on a regular basis to actually be under any kind of threat, right? Would you actually be in jeopardy of being replaced by AI?
Okay, I'm going to have to take a deep breath here because I don't know if you realize it, but what you've said is very insulting. Just because I am not currently working in a film or on a television show does not mean I am not a working professional actor. Okay?
Well, what exactly qualifies as a working professional actor? I have seen the statement, we're all background actors from some of the A-list actors. Is that
you're a background actor? I'm a background actor.
I'm not a background actor. No.
We're all background actors.
I am not a background actor. Let's be clear.
Let me tell you something. Background actors built this country. They built this.
They're like slaves.
Yeah, no. No, they're like architects. Like architects who built this country.
I think they would make much more money if they just became architects, and you don't make any money being a background
That's why we're
actor.
fighting. That's why we're fighting in the streets.
Reginald, I think your microphone is a bit high. If you could bump that down a bit, you're getting a little bit animated, and I know this is a hard time in Hollywood.
I had to do this from my phone. Is that better?
That's much better, yeah.
Okay. No, I had to do this from my phone because
Your iPhone 3?
Yes, I still have an iPhone 3. There's no reason to have any other, but I don't want to get sidetracked by iPhone editions. We have something much more important that we are talking about here. And that is, as you have correctly assessed, actors are not getting paid enough, and we deserve to get paid more because we built this country.
Like slaves, you guys built this country. How much did you make acting last year, Reginald? How much would you say the average actor who's on strike right now made in the past year?
Okay. Well, you have to understand there are 160,000 strong, proud SAG actor men, women, and genderless non-binary actors.
Which are you?
I think it's pretty obvious I give off all of the gender clues of being a
Okay.
very of a man. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm giving off very clear gender clues here. All right. Um, so the average pay of an actor is somewhere around probably, $45,000. I mean, we can't all be The Rock making, $50 million a picture.
You're telling me that of those 145,000,
160.
60,000, $45,000 a year is the average. Isn't that a little bit top weighted? If we take out the top earners, the A-listers, doesn't that number shrink significantly? Aren't we just giving a bunch of out of work people, who are doing, I don't know, working as baristas and giving them something to do?
Uh, it's very hard to unpack all of the lies and propaganda that you've just said in that one
I
statement.
bet you done a lot of packing in your day.
Bradley, I don't think my spouse Tony would.
Tony.
I don't think my spouse Tony would appreciate that. They
My
would be very
apologies.
upset. They would be very upset. I understand what you're saying. Acting is not. It's not machinist. It's not a machinist. It's not factory work per se. It being an actor, I don't clock in. I don't clock out. I am an actor to my core. So I believe in a minimum living wage for every actor in the union. And I think every American would agree with it because every American loves the cinema. They love their Star Wars and their Marvel movies, and they love Moonlight too. They love all the movies. And they could give us as we talked before, maximum wages, more important than minimum wage, a maximum living wage. And then I could be free to audition and do the things I need to do to take care of America and help build
So
it.
a basic income, like we discussed last time, is what you're asking for, a reason not to work so that you can try and pursue this dream of being an actor. I don't think you were in any of those movies you just stated. It seems to me like what's going on right now is not good for actors because the movies that have been produced over the past few years have gotten worse and worse and worse. And I understand there's a higher demand because of the streaming services, but it's almost like we're just regurgitating old movies and making them woker and worse and unwatchable to a certain extreme. And I feel like this is only going to open up an opportunity for non-union performers and filmographers and people who've always wanted to make stuff to produce far better stuff than what we're seeing and what we've seen over the past few years. Don't you worry that a strike like this, even though you don't work anyway, if you did work, puts you and the entire industry makes it obsolete? Aren't you screwing yourself over with a strike?
No. You see, there's one key thing that you need. Yes, you do need lights and you need cameras, but you can't make a movie without words and without people memorizing those words and then saying them in front of a camera under lights with makeup on. That is not something you cannot put a makeup on your MacBook Pro.
But you could put makeup on a non-union actor, Reginald.
Okay, if they were a good actor, they would be in the union.
But what about right to work states where unions aren't required, like here in Georgia?
Oh.
I'm eligible for SAG. I didn't join because I don't have to.
You mean those? That euphemism, right to work. What it is, it's a right to oppress state. That's what those are. You see, what SAG does is it makes sure that we make absolutely sure that when a production is a SAG production, it's going to be a quality film, handcrafted quality film, that you can trust, that it's going to have positive messaging and a diverse cast.
So
and all
positive
of the things.
messaging is the very thing that's screwing you guys over. I think you're getting to the heart of the problem here, Reginald. The wokeness of the film industry is going to bring it down, and they're striking at a very they're coming out and doing this grand virtue signal and acting like they're the brokest, the richest of them are, and they're pretending to be like background actors when we all know that the A-list actors they despise background actors. They treat them like trash. I've seen it personally myself.
Oh no! Oh,
that's not true.
No, that's not true at all. Not true at all. Background actors are elevated among. I mean, we are talking about the men and women that are the lifeblood of the film industry. We are all background actors.
I'm not a background actor.
Yes, you are.
No.
We all are. Everyone watching and listening to this right now is a background actor.
I'm not an NPC. NPC.
Listen, we have. The other thing is what people don't understand is it is very expensive to live in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, it is very expensive to live here. You know, we have inflation here too. Okay, it's not just right to work states that have had inflation. We have it too, and mind you, it is much worse. Much worse. We have to be able to pay. We have to be able to pay for the things that we need. Going meatless is expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is expensive to go meatless. You're right about that. I don't know if it's necessary, but it seems like you have a lot of demands that aren't necessarily required. And I feel like this is just a whole expression of how we are in a culture in decline, what we're seeing here, as though society is going to miss Hollywood. If Hollywood were to disappear tomorrow, there might be a little bit of a time period where people missed movies, but you know what? Other people would start making movies. And I think that you probably are a big fan of, what's that movie called that just came out with Jim Caviezel? Wasn't that an independently made film?
Oh, you mean the QAnon movie?
That was not a QAnon movie. It had nothing to do with QAnon.
You're talking about the movie about the QAnon children.
No, there's no QAnon children. These are about kids that are sex trafficked, and this is not a myth.
Nobody wants to have sex with children, okay? This is a movie about QAnon children. I don't even know,
Reginald, if you don't believe that that's going on in this world, then you have truly been blinded by your own propaganda and your own wokeism.
I have been a background actor on several films.
I'm sure.
Okay. And in all of my years of being a background actor, I have never once, not once, seen a child be trafficked or kidnapped or anything like that at all. At all. And I've been on some pretty big films.
So you think because you haven't seen it that it hasn't happened, it would happen right in front of you?
Well, I mean, it'd be pretty hard to hide the fact that you are kidnapping a child. I mean, I've been on sets.
Well, how have you done it? When you've done it, how have you done it?
Okay, that's very funny. Okay, I do not have sex with QAnon children.
There's no QAnon children.
Well, I don't know what the movie is about. I don't need to. I've read enough reviews from some reputable sources who I use to filter out mis and disinformation, and those sources have shown me that I do not need to see a QAnon adjacent film.
Okay, so you're just bought into the mainstream. You know, Reginald, I appreciate you joining us with the show and giving us that front lines info, boots on the ground, but I just feel like you could open your mind more to what's going on outside that progressive woke bubble of news that you get out there in Hollywood. Maybe take a vacation outside of there and see what the world is really like. And I feel like your skills will be better used in other ways.
Well, I don't know what to say to that, Bradley. I am, as you know, I just wrapped up a production of assisted suicide of a selling person, and I'm starting a new production called An Electric Vehicle Named Pride. It's based off of a streetcar named Desire, but I've just taken a few liberties. We've updated it. Blanche is no longer, we don't know if Blanche is a man or a woman. It's, and there's the whole electric vehicle theme. It's got a lot of positive messaging, lots of positivity.
So, electric vehicle named Pride, and it's going to be following. So, what's the journey?
It's basically an updated version of Tennessee Williams' classic, A Streetcar Named Desire. However, instead of a streetcar named Desire, this is an electric vehicle named called Pride, and it's still set in the wonderfully romantic city of New Orleans, and Stanley is still a brutish blue collar, but trans man. Blanche is non-binary. Stella also non-binary. Lots of positive messaging, good, just lots of good positivity.
So everybody, it's about an electric car, but everybody in there is some sort of gender ideology trans. So that's, go see the movie, and here's what I expect to happen. I expect that you'll get you get some audience members that are friendly to those themes early on in your first productions. Then I think that probably sales will probably bottom out shortly after that, and the production won't run much longer. But I do encourage you on your efforts, Reginald. You're always welcome to the show to tell us what's going on the front lines. Is there anything that you would like to let everybody know for sure before we get out of here?
Yes. We are all background actors.
No, we're not all background actors. We're not. I never be a background actor. You're treated worse than dog trash. And Reginald, I would encourage you to have more respect for yourself and to never again be a background actor. Thank you, Reginald, for joining us today. And we're going to have another guest on here in a second, which I'll bring back on after. Reginald, good luck to you. We'll have you back as this progresses. You can update us further, and we'll talk to you next time, man. Good luck on your new production. What was the name of it again?
An Electric Vehicle Called Pride.
An electric vehicle called Pride, and it is playing where?
It's playing in the Johnson Public Auditorium off of La Cienega and Western. It is provided by a grant from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yes. Well, that makes perfect sense right there. Bill and Melinda Gates were putting that on. We do have a comment here. Denver Attaway says that he trusts that Reginald's death of a selling person wasn't put on the back burner due to his focus on the updated movie. Is that correct?
No. We've just closed it. We've closed this recent production. We've got a new grant, and we are continuing to continue. We have a whole season planned.
Didn't you just start the other production? Yeah, the other production just started.
We make down and dirty, raw theater, fast punk rock, if you will. These versions are gritty, abstract, and in your face.
But what? So that means you only do them for a very short period of time, and then they end?
Like lightning bolts.
Lightning bolts. They only strike one out of a million people.
Never in the same place twice.
Yeah. Okay. So it's, yeah, you do one. So you did one production of it. I hope it went well. So all right. Well, thanks for joining us. Good luck with your next one. We'll come back. We'll see what the numbers are like.
You could see me bowing.
I'm sure that you are bowing. I hope that you're clothed, and maybe we'll see your face one day. Maybe we'll see that head. Is this your headshot that we're looking at? We have your face covered.
I don't want to be judged by my appearance. as an actor.
But that's what you do as an actor. Is you're judged by your appearance.
Not in the background.
That's true. I guess in the background, they don't care what you look like in the background. So that's a good point there. Okay, Reginald. Good luck to you, and
good luck to you.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We'll talk to you next time, and we're gonna bring our next guest on. I'll give him a minute there in the green room to get gathered. There were some technical problems again. Hopefully that didn't affect the stream. It doesn't look like it did, but if it did, I apologize. It looked like it is all back up and going. So yeah, background acting is. I've seen how they've treat background actors personally in something that I've been cast before. I was talking about that with the guests that we're about to bring on. I'd been cast in a commercial with 3 other people, and we had about 50 background actors that they had in this other room, and the craft services that they gave us was like this. It was like a 30-foot long, just beautiful gourmet buffet that the cast and crew could not have eaten in a week's time. And that is what they allowed us to have. And then the background actors or the extras, it's like they opened the door and they just threw a 12-foot Subway sandwich, not 12-foot, 12-inch Subway sandwich in and shut the door and let them ravage over it. And at one point I was asking one of the other actors, have you seen a Red Bull or anything around? Because we'd been there a long time. And about 5 minutes later, somebody in the crew came in and said, Brad, you were looking for a Red Bull, right? Because I guess our mics were on, so they were listening. And I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I was. And he goes, all right, I'm going to show you where they are. Just don't tell the extras. And then he like walked me around the secret. They treat extras. People go and do extra work because they want to be around a movie set. And every now and then somebody strikes gold because they have a certain look somebody likes, like a director or something. But they really treat them very poorly. And I would encourage nobody to ever do it. And here is the next guest on the show, a friend of mine, Ian Covell, who is actually in the first movie affected by the strike, they tell us, The Haunted Mansion. Let's bring Ian onto the show. Ian, welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. How did you like Reginald's appearance? Are you familiar with Reginald?
I am familiar with Reginald. I think I've seen long ago. I think I saw Reginald on maybe some similar auditions for some commercial stuff. Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Really? Does he seem like a pretty good actor?
Oh yeah, he seems. Oh my gosh. Poor Reginald. These actors that are, you know, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier, and there's a lot to unpack, you know, because I was telling you that some people in my life, family members that, and acquaintances that don't know me, you know, that they just know I'm an actor. They don't really know the ins and outs of it. And they'll say, they ask me like, so are you on strike too? And I'm like, no, I never joined the union. I mean, I'm eligible to, but there's literally no logical sense for me to do it living
in Georgia. You don't have
living
to.
in Georgia. There's no logical sense.
So that's the way it works in Georgia is you only have to get cast in a production. At least this is the way it used to work. That is a SAG production, and that makes you SAG eligible. And then you don't have to join because it's a right to work state. And so then you are, has it changed?
Well, the caveat is I can only fly out to LA one more time to work. And I should rephrase it. The next time, which I don't think I will, because I've sort of shut that stuff down. But the next time I were to fly out to LA to work, I would have to join the union on the spot. I'd have to give them, and I'd have to pay, because you get a reduced rate if you join here. But if I waited till that moment, I would have to pay like the full $3,500 to join.
So
which is crazy.
You get like a certain
don't worry,
number?
They give you, they offer you loans. You can finance your membership.
Oh wow, that's great. Do they have interest on paying that back?
It's the stupidest union. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are in it, and I have some friends and acquaintances that are in, you know, like pretty important members of it locally. So they'd probably be very upset if they heard my opinions of it.
Yeah. So what's the rule though that makes it where you only have a certain number of times going to LA? And
that's a rule that they've agreed on. You know, these are all rules born out of past negotiations with producers. So, it's to keep scabs from taking the jobs.
Right.
You and I were laughing about like what if they did like the walk-on replacements for MLB baseball, like
Yeah, like they did with that Keanu Reeves replacements movie in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
They had the replacement players back in '94, and they could have the replacement actors. And what if all the movies are just better?
Yeah, because it's like that'd be so funny if they were better. Obviously, something was going to happen with you couldn't continue to make the amount of content we're making. It's just untenable.
Right.
I don't see how, and like I was telling you earlier too, I'm all for people negotiating for higher wages. You do it. If you can convince someone to pay you more, do it. But you have to have leverage. You
Right.
cannot go into a negotiation without leverage.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what it feels like, this whole message of we're all background actors, and the shift to some of that is coming from is because there's such a small percentage that have leverage that they have to give all these other people, make them feel like they have a stake in it to feel the full force of that 160,000 or however many it is that are part of the union.
Yeah, that whole statement, the we're all background actors, like you pointed out, we don't say that at lunchtime.
No, never. It's terrible.
We don't say that when it's time to park your car on set.
No. I mean, they treat background actors like trash.
Yeah, it's like background actors have to park a mile away.
You don't get a hello, you get a screw you when you walk in.
Yeah. I get
filth.
I get a trailer and then a little knock.
Right.
You ready to go? Yeah, I'm ready to go. And then what the background actors do is they look at me going, "Who's that guy? Is he someone I should know?" And in my mind, I'm like, I love that they think that I might be somewhat famous.
Yeah.
That's but of course you do, right? It's like, fuck it, let them think I'm important.
Yeah, you got a trailer. I mean, it's cool to have a trailer, and there's
so
that
stupid.
rare occasion. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, these are when they talk about like you got to create leverage, and you can't create leverage when the majority of your union is out of work, and you just can't. How do you do that?
And it's brutal too. So, I mean, when you're an actor, you go on a lot of auditions, and I know at some point they're supposed to pay you, which they don't always do when you go to on a certain number of auditions. But like somebody could be going on auditions all the time and booking nothing, and they could actually be doing a good job, but just not finding that right, because getting called into a number of auditions typically means that you're doing a good job. And they just don't always find the right thing, and that person could be completely broke. And
for sure,
how do you?
I mean, there are shows, or even when a movie was coming to town. I mean, I've done a dozen auditions for the same project and didn't book it. Those are the ones that frustrate you because you're like, because you're like, just give me a friggin' job already.
It's killer too, because sometimes, man, it's down between you and somebody else, and that's like a $40,000 job.
Exactly. Well, a lot of times too, like when I've been pinned, because I got pinned for a couple of bigger things where I was like, shit, if I book that would sort of change things. But then you realize, oh, I think they just pinned me not because I was bad, and I mean I think I did a good job. But I think they already had someone from New York or LA in mind. And I was like, in case that person like got a hand chopped off. Right. Like it'd have to be so drastic.
Right. Yeah. Or like maybe a negotiating standpoint too. There was a thing that I was on hold for, where my agent at the time was sure that they did everything but tell me. They told one of our other friends that he's pretty much got this, and then I ended up not getting it, and B.J. Novak from The Office got it. And I was like, what? That's the other guy? Yeah, so it's probably what you're saying. It's probably in case he gets his hand chopped off.
Yeah.
Well, what about this premiere though? So the premiere for this movie that you're in.
Oh yeah.
they're
Everybody
not.
go see Haunted Mansion. Go see
Yeah,
Haunted Mansion.
Ian's
Go
in the
see it.
Haunted Mansion, and this Haunted
It's the
Mansion's all
first
over the
global
news.
release film. Yeah, it's the first film I've ever been in that's going to have a global release.
And it is the
So
first film affected by this strike, as they have
I know
replaced
this is,
the actors
dude,
with. Is there going to be a Disney character replacing you
dude,
on the
this
red
is
carpet here in Atlanta?
no. I did get invited to the premiere here in Atlanta, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to go. And now I'm like, man, maybe I should go. I'll be the only actor from the movie that shows
Yeah, right. So
up
what would
to the
happen if you
premiere.
went? Would you get in
I
trouble?
don't
Would
know,
somebody
man.
get mad at you?
You should come with me, and we should just eat all the hors d'oeuvres.
I'll go
You
with you.
know?
I'll
It'll
dress
just
up
be
as
you
a
and
Disney
me. It'll just be
princess.
you and I and
you
Mickey
want.
Mouse and Goofy and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff.
We'll dress up as Mickey Mouse and Goofy, and then it'll be acceptable.
I mean,
I bet there's people protesting it. You think there'll be people? You think there'll be actual actors out of work protesting that films? That would be so
and
great.
this is what it. I'll be honest with you. I was really like, oh man, I'm really hoping. I'm looking forward to the residual checks on this one because it's going to even open in China, right? I'm like, yeah, I wonder how that's going to change things. And of course, this fucking strike happens, right?
Right.
But I think that'll just honestly, what I'm hoping is people will run into the theaters and see these films now, because I guess there's just not going to be anything coming out for a while. But I do think, but here's another factor. Here's another important factor that I'm sure someone has talked about it. I just haven't seen it being talked about. A major factor that's different now, as opposed to the WGA strike in the earlier 2000s, is there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't all this way to self-produce content. So I think maybe much like reality TV blew up and took off in that point, I think honestly people are going to be jumping on YouTube a lot more and sucking up a lot more content there.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for people who create content, for podcasts, for independent filmmakers, people who have studios, and just if you've ever wanted to make a film, and I mean, Hollywood is not. It's changed the way the content creation, the streaming, it's all changed the way that people consume content, and it's not dominated anymore. Sure, it's good to have a whole bunch of money and it helps, but it's not dominated by that Hollywood model. And it's kind of hard to break some people's mindset on that. Like some people who would be good resources in creating content outside of that model, it's kind of hard to shake them from, well, this is how it works, when it's not really anymore. Like I'll see a lot of actors and in shows and stuff who are, maybe they're not super well-known actors, and their social media following is just they don't have any. It's very, very minimal.
So one of the things that I have seen people point this out, and I thought of it as well. I'm sure a lot of people have thought about this who are part of like our generation, anyone who's over 40, right? I guess you can remember a time when celebrities, their lives, the things they did off stage or off camera, the scarcity was there. There was so much scarcity. You didn't know where Jack Nicholson lived.
Yeah.
You didn't, you know what I mean? Like you didn't see any of these people outside. So scarcity, as we know, increases value, right? So with the onslaught and the availability of all the social media channels that are out there, it's almost these famous people making themselves as accessible as us, like being able to tune into The Rock's Instagram every day. That sort of devalued them. And in a way,
except The Rock is great at it and most other ones aren't.
Well, and The Rock is a franchise. He's one of the last. He's one of the last who you would miss if all of a sudden he disappeared, right? If I'm trying to think of, I don't know, any of these like Tom Holland, right, or any of these, younger celebrities, they're all replaceable. I think they are. I just think they are. I don't think they have the same value
as like market value, and you know what I'm talking about in branding, not people, but the market
Right.
value of a Harrison Ford brand. They don't have that.
And
You kidding
Harrison
me?
Ford is coming out in that movie where he's doing that last Indiana Jones that I haven't seen it, but the reviews it kind of seems like it was just another one of those woke. Let's take advantage of an old brand and make it woke,
Yeah,
and not doing
yeah,
so great.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, it was. I mean, the one before this one, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. All right, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, you're lucky. But the spoiler alert is, I remember. I'm going to tell the ending. It was like it was. We got maybe 5 minutes from the ending, and I look at the buddy who I went to the movie with, and I went, because I started to see where this is going, and I look at him and I go, if there's an alien spaceship that rises up at the end of this, I'm gonna fucking walk out of this theater. And
And it
5 minutes
was.
later, an alien spaceship rises up, and I was like, fuck this movie, and I
Yeah,
walked out of the
yeah.
theater. I hated that movie.
So you're a writer and you do improv, so that's probably what tuned you in to expecting that to come. There's a lot of I don't know, call them tropes that a lot of movies follow, like Chekhov's gun. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
something is kind of brought up or in was it the
Mm-hmm.
first act, then
Yeah.
it's gonna be impactful in the last one. I think an example I remember, it might have been from that book Save the Cat, where
Mm-hmm.
What Lies Beneath. I think Harrison Ford is in that one too. Actually, I think he's in that. And that Michelle Pfeiffer, maybe the hot chick. I don't know if it's Michelle Pfeiffer. I think it's Harrison
You
Ford.
think it's Witness?
No, it's the one where the I think it's Harrison Ford. It's kind of like a creepy horror movie, and his
Oh.
wife is not the same, and she like kill. It's weird,
Oh,
and
vaguely.
they're driving over a bridge in Act One, and there's a scene to point out the fact that, oh no, I have no signal on my phone right here. It
Oh,
doesn't work,
right. They
and
have
so
to do
that
that now. Yeah.
then it's gone. And there's a reason they do that in Act One, because in
Mhm.
Act Three somebody is about to die, and they're like, oh, I have no signal on my phone. So Chekhov's gun is introduced, and it's going to be used in Act Three. So those are things to kind of look
Mhm.
out for in movies to anticipate what will happen in the third act. And I know you've written some screenplays. There's a lot of little techniques and stuff like that that inform you or make you able to kind of predict how a movie might end.
There's just storytelling. There's just things that are innately human storytelling. I mean, you know, it's like I'm. I don't know where I picked this up, but the quote is, I'm paraphrasing, is something like there's just a couple of types of stories. We just keep retelling them over and over and
Yeah,
over in
yeah,
different ways,
right.
right? And that reincorporation, it's just something that's just satisfying as a human. Probably because it shows up in our own life in weird ways sometimes, right? But we just find that like certain things like are just so damn satisfying, and they have to be in the story, right?
Right. It goes for that
Um,
efficiency of storytelling too, is making the dialogue and the scenes impactful. Denver Attaway says that he saw. I think he's talking about the same movie that you were talking about, the fifth Indiana Jones, I guess.
mhm,
Saw it in the theater and was pissed, and he went
mhm.
to see it on a double date and had sushi afterward and trash talked the movie. The Crystal
Yeah,
Skulls, Shia LaBeouf, what a shit movie it was, and that he would probably be walking out of the new one in the first 5 minutes. And it sucks to see somebody like Harrison Ford being. Of course, he's going to get a big paycheck for it. So I guess I can't
I,
fault him
I,
there.
I pretend that 4, 5, and 6 are the only Star Wars properties that exist. Fuck everything else, all
Right?
of it. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah,
You
you lose
know,
track too. It's just it's
yeah,
such like. If it's good, I guess it doesn't matter if they can actually do it good in a different way.
yeah,
But they're just cash grabbing shit, man. It's gotten to the point where everything produced is just such an obvious cash grab. I couldn't have been I was so mad, and I know this movie probably didn't make a ton of money, but I was still pissed off when I saw that White Men Can't Jump 2.
I know. I love the
Or
first
not
one,
just
by
a
the way.
reboot, not
I
even 2.
fucking love that first one.
The first one is a classic,
It's a
and they make the
classic.
second
I
one
know.
with a
I know.
rapper, a white rapper,
And they're
and you
taking all the humor out of it.
right, and
There's
you
not
can
going to be one. There's not going to be any fucking funny. Like that one was funny.
It was great. And you can
It was
tell by the
great.
trailer of this one that it's just awful.
Awful.
It's just awful.
It's
And
a
I'm
cash
like,
grab.
why?
You're right.
Cash grab.
You're right. Yeah, it's so stupid.
I mean, they redid the Wonder Years with a black family just recently, which is it's just like do a different plot, you know? Don't do the Wonder Years again, or give it a different name at least.
Yeah. So I remember, I think that's the one I was like, so is that called when you take a white property and put black actors in it? Is that called blackfacing?
That's blackfaced it.
I think that's called they blackfaced it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost insulting. It seems like to me,
Yeah.
and I guess it's great for the actors that do it if they can spin,
Hey man,
spin
like
another
exactly.
role out of it.
Look. I mean, look. The Little Mermaid was great the first time around. I don't care how many new ways you spin it. Maybe if there's lots of nudity in it, I'll go see. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it was nudity and like lots of heavy metal music. Like there's have to be some way to spice it up for me to. I really don't care to see.
It's a Little Mermaid with daddy issues, is what she's talking about.
I don't need to see any more Little Mermaids. It was was fine. Come up with new shit.
You want to see a rebellious Little Mermaid who's working at the Gold Club?
I don't care. Yeah, it's you know, black people should be insulted. Well, not all of you know what I'm saying. Like black actors, you know, who are concerned about that, they should be insulted when they're asked to just play this old property, this tired old property, instead of like, how about something new? You know, we're only going to give you these old characters.
Yeah, if the paycheck's good enough, look, I would have been in White Men Can't Jump reboot. Even though I would have told my friends, I'd been, I cast a White Men Can't Jump reboot. It's shit, but man, I'm gonna be in it.
But what if we took shows? Because like I talked about this a while ago with Michael, you know, my old writing partner, you know, Michael, and I was like, you know, what if we took classic 80s movies and just, you know, like did Mr. Mom, but with like Ice Cube?
Yeah, right.
Right? I think that'd be a hit.
That would be funny.
I think it'd be
Ice Cube is Mr. Mom. Who played Mr. Mom? Was it Arnold Schwarzenegger or I think in something else?
No, Mr. Mom was Michael Keaton.
Oh, okay.
Awesome Michael Keaton. Like another one, you know, you could do, what if you did Different Strokes? But switched the races, like had a wealthy black family adopted this poor white kid from the Appalachians.
He's just a huge redneck. They need like a translator.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah.
What you talking about?
See, that's a unique. It's like a parody angle on it. They don't even do that. They even do the flip on, like, what was it, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but a drama. Was that something anybody was looking for?
No. Nobody's looking for that. Nobody. Like the reason why this was something interesting I came across is that one of the reasons why a movie like Top Gun did so well and why people said things like, man, they don't make them like this anymore, is because they don't. Because all the movies they make now, like the new one, Oppenheimer, that's going to be cool, but it's going to be dark, depressing, really like self-examining, really cynical, not a lot of optimism, not going to walk out of there feeling like I just watched a jet fighter and
right.
I'm not going to walk out of there with a sense of optimism. I'm gonna be like, man, I think he did sell those secrets to the Russians. Like that's the kind of stuff we're going to be.
Did you see the news about Oppenheimer that Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy and other actors walked out during Thursday night's London premiere of the movie because of the strike? Can you imagine the
in the
drama?
Middle of the movie?
They make it seem like in the middle of the movie. I don't know if that's the way it happened. That's the way that the LA Times
so they didn't have their phones off.
No, they had their phones on. They didn't listen to that little dancing thing of popcorn.
The movie at all.
No,
they were tweeting.
What they did is they went there. They were instructed to go there. I guarantee you this is what happened. They were said this premiere is going to be happening at this time period, and you guys are going to go, and the strike is going to happen then, and you guys are going to get up and make a big display. So this is what Edward Bernays called creating the news, as they created this dramatic incident, so they can. Look, I wonder if they think about like the one or two kids who are there, to see those celebrities. They admired them. They see them walk out of that movie. Of course, it's like, why are you taking your kid to see Oppenheimer would be the next question. But
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you doing? Like, it was like when my parents, I remember when Star Trek the motion picture came out, I begged my parents to take me to see it. And I don't know if you've seen the first Star Trek. It's so weird. To jump
yeah.
from, you gotta try this one day. Just watch the original series and then just go, now I'm just going to continue this by putting in Star Trek the motion picture and tell me what happens.
Did you say Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Okay, Star Trek. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the original
so
series.
Star Trek, the original series is one thing, and then they made this movie years later. It was like also when I convinced my mom to take me to see Dune when I was like 11. I remember she looked at me at one point. She was like, "What is this movie?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then Baron Harkonnen takes out a slave's heart plug, and I'm like, "Ugh." I'm like, "I guess we're staying."
You know what's great about the Star Trek series now is, so you have the original series, and now fast forward to within the past 5-6 years, you have all of these they've done these like spin-off series, and some of them are they predate the original series. Like there's a series right now in the past couple of years. It's on the second season, I think. It's called Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and it is following Captain Pike. Because in early Star Trek series, Captain Pike is like all messed up, and Kirk takes over from him, and so it's leading up to that with Captain Pike. He had some vision where he knows what's going to happen to him. But what's really funny about it to me to watch it is that in all these shows, and there's another one called Discovery that also predates the starts like 10 years before, is they're all super woke. They have they thems. In their crew, they have females leading everything, and then you have this thing, and then you get up to Star Trek the original series, and it's just a bunch of white dudes and Uhura, and it's like, what happened? What happened to stop all the progress?
Yeah, I know.
No they thems are in the original Star Trek, but it's just a little bit of lack of congruency there.
Yeah, it is. It is funny how much they just preach to us these days, and I think that's why people have stopped going to see these movies. Obviously, I mean, it's lame. I mean, like, I don't know. Like there was something. The movies I grew up on, like the comedies, were irreverent. They were not something you should let your kids see, but we all still managed to see them. It was fine. Like, remember there's a movie called Zapped with Scott Baio. This was one of the worst of the worst. You know this movie?
I don't think I saw that. I love Scott
Dude, it's
Baio.
80s comedy. Scott Baio gets these telekinesis powers, right? And you know what he does with it? He starts popping chicks' shirts off.
That's what
he does with it, because
that's
you
what
know
a
what
lot
a
of people
teenage
would
boy
do
would
with
do.
it.
You know what a teenage boy would do?
It would
with
pop chicks'
telekinesis?
shirt off.
Yeah, oh, shit. He would
exactly
try
what
to
they
look
would
at
do.
naked chicks.
Right.
Now, I did not watch that movie and then walk out of the theater and start trying to. I still behaved.
You didn't start
by
doing that. You start
norms.
ripping
We just
chicks' shirts
laughed.
off.
Yeah, because what we could do, what we've lost the ability to do, is look at something, a piece of fiction, and go, oh, this is heightened reality. Nothing like this exists in the real world, and it's safe to laugh at it.
Absolutely.
If this did exist in the real world, it would be horrifying.
Right. Yeah. So they've taken that. So film has always been a vehicle for propaganda, but there has been people's ability to differentiate that. And, you have parents that help people differentiate that, that's not real. Now it's like they have just fully tried to capture that medium to do nothing but cultural propaganda, especially with a lot of these, the CW, every show has a they, them lead, and is nothing about, it's just, it could be a superhero show. The only thing you hear about is like scissoring lesbian relationships and how it affects the characters. That's all there is. It's like they want to supercharge these screens that they have connected to people's brains. And maybe it's turning people off. Maybe it's going to make people turn that shit off. It's obviously hurting the model for producing film and TV, because you see a movie like Top Gun, that Top Gun has some propaganda angles too when it comes to promoting the military industrial complex. But I was reading about Tom Cruise talking about the characters to the other actors in the movie, where he was telling them, just embrace the douchebaggery of the character, because that's what the character is. And if you don't like it, just embrace that douchebaggery. And that's what you have to do to play that character. Don't try to make it be something else. And that movie worked. It's like one of the only movies that has worked.
I get the propaganda criticism on something like Top Gun 2. I get it. However, you can't tell me it's also not cathartic as fuck to watch that stuff. It's super cathartic. Like, it is fun to go watch jet fighters zip through canyons, to watch a dude on a motorcycle race a jet. I mean, all this stupid shit. It's all ridiculous. It's all fun.
Well, it appeals to the crowd of people that they like are tired of the woke shit too. So it's like,
that's exactly right. So I don't know. It's like, you know, maybe I take some ultra military propaganda over the woke propaganda. I guess you have to pick your poison.
Right.
I don't know, man. But I do miss the fact that, you know, and honestly, man, a lot of this shit is rooted too with, you know, way back, it was all the Democrats that started the PMRC. They're the ones that slapped warning labels on shit. They're the ones that have been censoring shit forever. I'm so fucking sick of that as well, that somehow along the way, I mean, I remember as a kid being infuriated as like a 14-year-old, and then immediately going, well, the only album I want is the one with that, you know, parental advisory lyrics warning on it. Otherwise, I don't want to listen to anything.
It's like, do they know the reverse psychology effect that's going to have? It feels like there's a question here. Is that movie coming out at a time when the U.S. is pushing nuclear war and aggression? Is that a coincidence or coordinated? Which movie are you talking about, Attaway? Is that
Top Gun 2?
Top Gun 2. You know, it's a possibility for sure.
Well, it didn't. Let me put it this way. I watched the movie, still don't like nuclear war.
Right.
So it didn't work on me.
Right. What was the story where they had to remove some of the patches on his jacket?
Oh, that's lame as shit.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's like, yeah, and it was something, and then something to do with something to do with Taiwan, I want to say.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right, because that's that whole idea that we're doing right now with Russia and Ukraine is we're trying to demonstrate to China that they better not even try this.
Well, remember
Oppenheimer is what he's saying. Oppenheimer is what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yes, I would agree with that. That yeah, we're you know, yeah, ugh. They're maniacs. Like they're right now. They're probably.
It's fucking obnoxious, man. It's like a lot of people just want to make movies that are like funny and interesting, but it's like you have to get somebody's attention or to get funding, and at least for some, to have that extreme propaganda angle to it.
Yeah, like I know someone locally here who, and people might not realize it, but you know, actors usually when they get to a certain level, especially when they're living in LA and New York, they have agents and managers. So you don't have to have both. They do slightly different jobs, but they overlap. Watch Entourage if you want to see the difference between an agent and a manager. That's a great show that exposes the dynamic. And this girl I know, she got, you know, LA management out of, you know, it's a movie. It's a comedy about her on the way to get an abortion. Right?
That sounds like a hilarious premise.
yeah, and it's like her gay. It's like her gay friend is helping her to go. And I'm not going to plug the movie. I don't want to give it any kind of no.
Can you imagine that pitch? I got a story, a comedy about a girl on her way to get an abortion.
And it's so edgy. It's edgy, you know. And it's like, and then I saw another one where this woman was talking about she's doing a one-woman show.
Oh God.
A one-woman show about this stillbirth that she had.
Oh my God.
and it was and then she was saying, "Hey, we're doing one night in New York City, and it's been brought to you by this such and such grant." I'm like, "Yeah, because nobody would buy a fucking ticket to go see this thing." The poster was her in like a white dress with like a red dress in between her legs that's supposed to represent blood, and she's in a creek, standing in a creek, and I'm like, can't anybody just do something escapist?
Right.
Like, I would rather, I'm just so tired of, and new, escapist and new. We don't need Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, let's have a whole different pirate movie.
In her credit, that's a new thing. Is that idea of standing in a creek with a blood dress? That's definitely a new idea.
But it's just like, gosh. I mean, comedy is dead. There's no more good comedy. Do you think Judd Apatow could make it? Yeah.
I haven't. I meant to bring this up on the show, but I haven't yet. You let me know about it, and I won't say the venue. But there is a new comedy show in the area which we live that is. I don't have the advertisement that you sent me in front of me, but it's advertised as like it's an open mic where LGBTQ people, LGBTQ women, is that what it was? They get 5 minutes.
Anyone
LGBTQ?
LGBTQ and women.
Okay.
So LGBTQ and women get 5 minutes at the open mic.
They get 5 minutes at the open mic, and so that's usually the maximum amount you're going to get at an open mic. And then it has underneath it has allies get 3 minutes at
if
the
you
open.
Got a dick, you only get 3 minutes.
And what do the racists get at this open mic?
Well, and then what if the allies get more laughs? What happens?
Then you have to distribute those laughs.
Yeah,
you
have to give those laughs away.
Right, those laughs are credited to the LGBT from earlier.
I earned those laughs off the backs of all of these other LGBTQ people.
And that show is not going to last, right? Because people have to pay for a space. So you'll get
I've told the venue owner flat out, you got to stop with this stupid fucking shows. He goes, well, but I'm like, this is a stupid show. Why do you have these shows?
Well, I think that you let people do whatever show they want if they can pay for the venue.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is he's doing a split, and I was like, you can't split this. This is someone who's like, they're making peanut butter and mustard sandwiches and saying, I'll split the profits with you.
I mean, I saw one of those shows one of the open mics, and it was there's a lot of. There was a lot of trans open mics, which the people I've met, they're very nice, but the style of comedy, it just made everybody there uncomfortable.
It's not funny.
And that's fine. I mean, comedy is to make it uncomfortable. I'm not like I'm very open to people being edgy and trying whatever for comedy. I'm all for that. But this idea that you can just advertising that just openly discriminates. I mean, this is Can you imagine an open mic that said white guys get 5 minutes? Allies to white guys
get 3.
Get 3 minutes, and
LGBTQ. Like cis white guys get 5 minutes. Allies get 3.
What's going to be interesting is I know some female comedians in Atlanta who probably would go to that and who are very against that. And probably would go to that and say the absolute most inappropriate things possible at that open mic. That is a woman. So how does that work out when a woman in that protected group violates everything that protected group is supposed to be?
Well, see, they've covered that. They covered that way back when the LA Times put Larry Elder's face on the cover and said that he was the black face of white supremacy. And I had to double check to make sure this wasn't the Onion that I was reading. I mean, what it is like, it's a thought. So if she's having those thoughts, she's been brainwashed, right? A woman who would think that way is brainwashed. She's not really thinking for herself, So any woman who would disagree with the positions,
it's actually a man who's doing that.
Well, wait.
It's like a white man who's thinking for her.
Yeah, exactly. She's self-hating, right? That's one thing. She's self-hating. They'll recommend that she needs therapy.
Obviously. Well, that's true,
she obviously needs right. She obviously needs therapy. She was probably abused, right? She's,
Right, by a white
or
man.
something like that.
Yeah.
They're going to come up with all kinds of reasons.
Where do you think all this goes with the entertainment industry from where it's at? I mean, it's obviously they're at
I
an
hope right
inflection
down
point.
the toilet. I hope right down the fucking toilet.
Yeah.
I have been waiting ever since finally, pulling the trigger, long time ago, and taking that trip out to LA, and actually, I'm so glad I did pursue it and learn and but ever since I did that, I've noticed something about myself. Like, I've noticed that, well, one, I started consuming a lot less, uh, content,
Yeah.
because you get disillusioned with it.
Like film content, TV content.
Yeah, film and TV shows, you just get disillusioned. So I started consuming a lot less, but also, yeah, it was like all of a sudden my eyes were open to it a little bit. And you the people that they can turn on that charm when the camera's on, the camera's off. I mean, they're sometimes assholes, sometimes just regular. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's
Yeah.
nothing. Once you get behind it and start seeing how it's made, and then the other thing I realized
It
too
loses
is
its luster.
it loses its luster, and the opportunities. I think I would love to see the industry disrupted, because we're not talking about an industry. If the film industry is disrupted, it's going to be painful for it's going to be painful for a certain amount of people, but camera operators, there's always going to be someone who wants to film something. There's always someone who's going to write something. There's always going to be someone who wants to memorize those things and say it on the camera.
Absolutely.
That's always going to happen. And there's always going to be people who are willing to pay for it. I hope this gets blown up. I hope it gets so friggin' decentralized that every movie is like a Sound of Freedom.
I think that is what the ultimate conclusion is going to be if they're holding out on this. It's almost like they're betting on people valuing what they do over what has emerged. And
everything
movies,
should be crowdfunded. Yeah.
Yeah, movies in and of themselves. I think you mentioned this earlier. People are spending more time watching short videos and stuff on YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, wherever else. People don't even have the attention span for movies anymore. They're gonna have to mold themselves to the public. I don't think they have the all propaganda or all anything is about getting the public to support your position, whatever it is, whatever that position may be. I don't think they have.
What'll happen to Operation Mockingbird? What happens to Operation Mockingbird when it's just a bunch of independent people?
Totally. Right. Yeah.
I think it dilutes it.
Absolutely, and the opportunities that emerge, if people can break free from the mindset that it has to be Hollywood, I think there's going to be nobody's ever going to stop making films. It's not going to stop happening. It's going to be people who aren't tied to the union, and I think what they're hanging on to is if they let go of this need to just drive progressive propaganda through 99% of their material, then they might get some of that power back. But the need to do that as being a prerequisite of what's going on in Hollywood right now, I think is going to doom them, because it has made people disinterested and even oppose them. When I love movies, I've always loved movies, and when I see a good movie, I'll tell people about it and I'll enjoy it. But right now, it's just so much shit that you don't want to be associated with it. And I think it's because of that. And it's maybe not even their fault. There's these I can't remember the organization. There's this nonprofit organization that has been forcing progressive ideological scripts through the studios for years. The starts with an L. Lear. I think it's the Lear organization is one of them.
Okay.
If they just break free from the control of that, then I think they're trying to appeal to the powers that be that have been funding and influencing them. They need to appeal to the people to win their power back, in my opinion. Because I don't think the people align with them.
No, I don't think they do either. I think it's obvious that Hollywood is completely out of touch. you know, Hollywood is making the mistake right now is they think that they think that they're entertaining their peers. They think that what I mean is they don't understand that the consumers of these films think nothing like them.
No, they don't.
Nothing like them. You know,
Absolutely.
you know,
And that's why they don't get why Trump does so well.
and
Because
that's why
is-
they say stupid shit like we are all background actors, and they don't even realize that I mean, if I just brought a camera out, if I was ever on set and just like snuck a camera in like candid shit,
dude, they're so
you know,
bad. I felt like sneaking
they're not.
food.
They're not background actors at lunchtime.
No,
right?
dude, it's just like you feel bad being part of it too. It's like those people, they're just, when people are background actors, sometimes they're it can be a little over the top, but they're just trying to.
They're all weirdos. I mean, I'm going to say every background actor is a weirdo. Every one of them. Some of them are nice weirdos, but super weird. Super weird.
Yeah, it's one commercial I was in. They were all there was like 4 of them standing on tables doing rap battles in their little room.
Yeah, they're all like, I'm going to be a background actor, and I'm going to be plucked from being a background actor. Steven Spielberg is going to go, oh, cut. What? Didn't I do it right? No, not you. Who's that guy?
Well, so there is a couple of stories of that gives people that ideal, but it's just so rare.
You know, whenever you hear stories like that, that's like going, I'm going to become rich by winning the lottery. It's not a plan.
You know, that's Pete Davidson's story.
Pete Davidson, his father was in the CIA.
I think there was other factors there like that. Yes, but they tell us that his story was he was a background actor who they just thought he had the look.
No, but Nick Kroll, his father ran a private spy agency. That's true. You know the Kroll show?
Yeah, really? Dude,
yeah, I'm serious.
It never fails that when I look up one of these people who suddenly becomes so famous so quickly that their dad or mom is one of the original members, families on the Mayflower, or their dad signed the fucking Constitution, or it's just like.
Well, I have relatives that go back that far, but it never trickled down to me.
Yeah,
I didn't get any. I didn't get into the Illuminati out of it.
Do you know that about? So the guy who I think it's the guy who owned that a submersible Titan, he had 2 relatives.
He wanted to impress the Illuminati.
He descended from 2 founding fathers of the United States who signed the Constitution, and his wife was a descendant of 2 people who died on the Titanic. I mean, it's just like.
I mean, yeah, that's funny. It's
crazy shit, dude. It's all wild.
Yeah. Did we talk about the timing of the strike being bad too?
I don't know. What do you mean? In what way? Oh yeah, well, because of just and a lot of the factors, and I think their power's weakening. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, just like why would you try to put the brakes on a train going 4 miles an hour, as opposed to let it get back up to speed, let the fucking train get back up to speed, and then you pull the brakes.
So they did it not at the peak of their demand,
right?
But at the lowest point of their demand.
It's almost like someone from the Producers Guild had a mole and told the idiot actors, because I know, and you know, one of the chief negotiators, and I will tell you their name later, but you and I both know one of the chief SAG negotiators. And when I tell you who it is, you'll be like, well, no wonder they didn't negotiate well.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it on here. I think I know what it is. That blows my mind. All right, Ian. I thank you for joining me to have that talk, and thank you guys for watching. And if there were technical difficulties, I apologize. But we'll do it again soon, man. You're always welcome
it's always
to come
fun,
on the show.
man.
I love talking with you, and you have unique perspectives, especially from being inside of what would typically be viewed as a progressive.
Go see Haunted Mansion. I can promise
see Haunted Mansion. Absolutely.
Not one kid was sex trafficked, at least while I was there.
Well, yes. So go see Haunted Mansion. The last, that might go down in history as the last film Disney ever produces.
I know.
Wouldn't that
Go
be
see
great
it.
for you?
Go see it. It actually looks like it might be kind of fun.
It does. I've been seeing the
Yeah.
ads for it, and I think about you
Yeah.
every time. So go see it, Haunted Mansion. When's it? So do you know how long it's going to be in theaters and when it'll be available on streaming?
Oh, jeez. I got my router shit up behind me because I'm going to have to change that password.
Oh, did you? You had your router password on camera the whole time?
Yeah.
That's funny as shit, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
It's great.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go change that password. And thank you guys for
Yeah.
watching YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, and Rockfin. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a
All right.
fantastic rest of
It was
your
always
day.
fun. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy.